And you have to realize that a lot of the people that instilled these ideas in your head that you are supposed to do all these things, they were wrong. And they can't decide for you. No one can decide for you what's best for you other than you. And that's the most empowering thing in the world. It's also the most scary thing in the world because when you're used to everybody making decisions for you and telling you how to act and how to do things, stepping into your own power can be really scary.
Welcome to the Baggage Beacon Healing Hearts and Minds podcast. Come back to Baggage Beacon Healing Hearts and Minds. Since March is all about celebrating strong women, I couldn't think of a better guest than Maria Brophy. Maria is a powerhouse, a wife, mom, an author, entrepreneur, and advocate of self-empowerment. She written Empowered Women's Circles and the amazing bestseller Art, Money, and Success. I don't have it in my room because in my house. She also runs an art gallery in California, and by night she leads mastermind groups and meditation classes, helping people to step into their own power. She and her husband Drew, if you didn't see his art, you have to go and watch it. It's stunning. They have traveled the world selling art and proving that you can design a life you actually love. And through it all, she has been a source of healing and strength, showing the power we have to support the people we love. And I admire that about her. So today we are talking about self-empowerment, healing, and breaking free from limiting beliefs, especially as women stepping into our own power. I can't wait for this conversation. Maria, welcome to the show.
Oh, thank you for that beautiful introduction. I really appreciate it. And I'm so happy to be here talking with you. I have the beautiful piece of artwork of yours that hangs in my writing/meditation room, and I brought it just so I could show your audience, whoever's seeing this on video. I love this piece of art. I cherish it. And I don't even remember what year I bought it, but anyway, I love it. I love everything you do. And I really have been enjoying your podcast episodes also. So I'm honored to be here.
Thank you so much. And I remember when you brought that. It was during COVID, and I admire you. I love your present. And I was introduced to you by my business coach, Ralph White. He introduced me to your book. I bought it right away. I couldn't stop reading it. I also bought your coaching courses and was very helpful. There is something very light and magical about you. So please share about yourself and what first sparked your journey towards self-empowerment on whatever inspiring you in life.
If I go all the way back to the mid 1980s when I was 18, actually not a teenager, I was graduated from high school. People who know me now can't even believe it when I say that I was a very unhappy and angry person. And I was so negative. And that came from being raised in a household where no one was happy, and it was an unhappy marriage between my parents, and there was some abuse and things like that. So I remember being in my early 20s, and my older sister, I was talking to her and I was just saying how much life sucks. Life is terrible. It's this and that. I was so bitter at such a young age. And she said to me, Maria, life is what you make of it. Your happiness doesn't come from outside of you, it comes from inside of you. And I remember thinking, that's interesting. And I had never heard that before. This was pre-internet days. This was before I ever picked up a self-help book. But there was something inside me that knew that there was truth to that, but I didn't understand how it worked. However, I made a decision to figure out how to find that happiness within myself. And that was when I embarked on this journey of reading books that helped me look at life in a different way and start changing my negative perspective and expanding on breaking through the things that held me back from being happy. So I've come a long way. I've been on this journey for decades. I'm in my 50s now, and some of my biggest growth lessons happened in the last year, believe it or not. I feel like I was on a slow growth path for many years, and now it's very much accelerated. Something about all the COVID stuff just kind of made a lot of us accelerate our growth for different reasons. And it's very empowering. And so when I started figuring things out for myself, I couldn't help myself but wanted to share it with other people because that's just how I'm wired. I'm wired. Like if I discover a new restaurant in town that's really good, I am going to scream it from the rooftops, and all my friends will be going there before you know it. And that's how I am with everything. So yeah, just this understanding that you can create whatever life you want. There are tools that you can use to get you there, and it's a constant practice.
I'm admiring your honesty and transparency because a lot of people, when they see you, when they see successful people that publish books or whatever podcasts, they think that they started this way. They don't understand that a lot of time we grow from the challenges, and also there are so many hiccups, so many struggles that we go through. But now, when you look at social media, everyone else looks like they don't have problems and they come with so much ease. They don't know, even before we started the podcast, it took us at least 20 minutes to make the microphone work. I'm saying it purposely to understand that we are so imperfect. And going back to the art and creation, I see this piece there. When I practiced art, I started painting when I was 4. It was in the 70s. No one in my family was trying to exhibit art. My gifts were for my dad was like, just buy me colors. I remember I always thought that I'm struggling in a different. And when I used to paint, I had so much anxiety that it will never be perfect like Picasso and other people because I didn't have the mentors to guide me and tell me, listen, when you start, it's going to look ugly and it's normal. Why no one ever told me that feelings are not supposed to be happy and just fun all the time? Only now I understand that the chaos is first, like the creation of the world, and then there is a light, then there is the happiness. And I'm glad that you were sharing your story because it just shows us that we are just normal human beings in this earth. So thank you for that. Many women are struggling with self doubt or feeling like they are not enough. What are some of the biggest limiting beliefs you have had to break through, and how did you do it?
Boy, I just recently made a major breakthrough, and I've made many, but the recent one was just huge. The limiting belief that I was having that I think almost everyone suffers from, I call it a human condition. I am not good enough. Now, I have worked with artists and some very successful, highly successful, well-known musicians over the years. My life has been blessed by being surrounded by incredibly talented people. And I was doing a session with a musician that's most of your listeners might know, and I'm not going to say who he is for privacy, but he told me, he said, Maria, my whole life I've had this whispered in my ear, it's in my head, you are no good. And it just blew my mind to hear this guy say this. He's so successful and he has millions of fans, and he's so incredibly talented. And I really started understanding that this is everyone. And I think it's something that we've had implanted in us before we were even born. And some of us have it worse than others. We have it worse if we were raised by parents who weren't there for us for whatever reason. Maybe they were going through their own stuff, maybe they were abusive. We just have we have things that tear down our own belief in ourselves. So a lot of it is running invisible in the background of our mind. A lot of us don't even realize how much it runs our life. This idea that we're not good enough. And it's something we have to first be aware of, because awareness is the first step in everything, the first step to making any positive change, to expanding upon who you really are. You have to be aware of the good and the bad that is running in the background of your I like to think of our brains as like a computer program. There are programs that are running in there that have been, some of them we put there ourselves, and a lot of them, most of them, been put there by other people, parents, teachers, bullies, social media, TV. Just we're bombarded with messages. We don't even realize we're being programmed every minute of the day when we're being exposed to outside messages. So we have to be aware. And with awareness, we can then course correct. There's a lot of good advice in your podcast number 34, which I was listening to this morning, actually. And it's the title of your podcast episode is The Power of Self-Love. And I used to shrug off the idea of loving yourself. I used to say, that's silly. What am I gonna like fall in love with myself? I just thought it was silly. But what I've really come to understand is there is this invisible script program. I'm not good enough. That means I'm not loving myself enough. And so that's where you start working on it. And it really is empowering. And for women, we have our self worth tied to our looks, to our family. If we have children, if we don't have children, our success, we seem to think we have to do it all. And then as we get older, if we allow it, we let these other messages of, oh, the wrinkles make me, oh, now I'm too old to do things. I'm not as valuable if I'm not as pretty as I used to be, just all these things. And we have to get control of it. We have to get control of it. And for me, I'm approaching 60 and I caught myself, I just started recently. Okay, the lighting's really good right now. So thanks to the Ring camera, I look younger, but you take that Ring camera away, you can see so I can see it. And one thing that I started catching myself doing when I was looking in the mirror a couple of years ago, when I started seeing new wrinkles and things, I caught myself going, ugh. And I was aware of it. And I thought, oh no, I am not going to put myself down every time I come in this bathroom to brush my teeth or wash my hands. That's a lot of times a day. I'm going to look in the mirror and I'm going to smile at myself and I'm going to say, hi, pretty. And so I literally do this all the time. Every time I will not let myself tell myself I don't look good.
I love that. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Because I think this is something that most women don't know. I talk to a lot of women. Most of my clients are women, and it doesn't matter if they're skinny, successful, rich, they had the best parents. A lot of them don't feel good enough, like you mentioned. And this is like the biggest thing that I have to uncover, discover, and go to the subconscious mind and clear. A lot of times it's not theirs, it belongs to the mom or the grandma or generations ago, lifetimes ago. Sometimes they see that what their soul journey was before they brought to this lifetime, and they have to disconnect it, and then they feel like there is no need to sacrifice themselves anymore, which is sometimes the root cause of the idea that I'm not good enough unless I sacrifice myself. A few years ago, when I was switching from the art business to this business, I was in a coaching classes to find when am I gonna be perfect, when I'm gonna be skinny enough, when I'm gonna be rich enough, when I'm gonna be the best wife, the best mom. Like this idea, my art was never good enough. And then I see my art over there, and I'm like, wow, I like it. It sparked joy. All this stuff I have today, I always had, but I never looked at them like they spark joy. And so what I did, I started having this little notebook that I got from a friend. And every day I write the magic that happened in my life because I don't appreciate the small magic. Someone gave me something free, gave me a compliment. You, for me, it's magic. Because when I met you 5 years ago, if someone was telling me that Maria gonna be in my podcast, I will just choke. I look at you like this beautiful, amazing soul that helps so many women. I remember listening to your podcast when I was in the airport, and I'm like, wow, this is such an important. And my business was not picking up because this wasn't my journey. I was supposed to do this, but I was like, no, I will do that. I will do that. For 27 years, my husband was telling me, you have to go and do the healing business. Become a therapist, become a hypnotherapist. Stop that. You're good. It doesn't mean it's yours. The second I switched, everything worked because I started believing in myself. Stop looking at the things that are not working and look at the things that are actually working and put them down, because if you don't understand them, no one will understand that for you. So that was very good what you mentioned about loving yourself. So we all have sometimes to wake up and say, wake up, and see who we are. And as a mom and a businesswoman, I know that women often put everyone else first and struggle to prioritize themselves. What's one powerful mindset shift that can help women not to feel guilty, shame about their time, energy, and dreams when they want to actually do whatever they like?
There's a strong woman in there somewhere, and you have to tap into that strength. And I would say for someone who is giving, and they have that guilty feeling, the feeling of guilt is a very low vibration. And you have to clean that up. And every change that you make in yourself begins with a decision. So it doesn't matter if you don't know how to make that change, does not matter. You start with a decision. You say, I right now decide to drop the guilt, find that inner strong woman, that backbone that I have that's a little buried right now. I'm going to find it, and I'm going to stand by my choices to care for myself. I'm going to stand by them. I'm not just going to decide that I'm going to do these things to care for myself. I'm also going to stand by that decision. I'm going to stand by it, and I'm not going to let anyone make me feel guilty about it, not even myself. And the funny thing is that when you make a decision and you make a declaration, it works itself out. Your subconscious mind then puts it in motion and shows you how to be that person.
Absolutely. And I have a teacher that used to say, I demand, when the emotions will come up, and she will say, when negativity will even enter the mind, she will say to the subconscious mind, which if you don't know, you probably know, but if the listeners don't know, the subconscious mind, its job is to keep us safe and protected. And sometimes the safe is just staying small and comfortable. For me, it was just sitting and comfortably painting La La Land all day long, and I was so comfortable. And for each one of us is different. So the second some people gonna tap into this zone of genius, they will start feeling uncomfortable. So the thought can sound, wait, it's dangerous for you. Sadness, guilt. So I had a teacher who used to say, tell this voice, shut the fuck up. I say in Hebrew, stemi. I tell myself, just shut the fuck up. Then I feel my energy shift. And I say to myself, I demand you to share your contribution. So it can be your art, it can be your coaching, it can be whatever you're selling. It's your contribution because this is what you're special. Instead of feeling the shame and guilt when I clear baggage, I do the hypnosis, the last thing to clear, it's the shame and guilt. I guess it's coming from our moms, from grandmas, all these old generations, right?
And you have to realize that a lot of the people that instilled these ideas in your head that you are supposed to do all these things, they were wrong. And they can't decide for you. No one can decide for you what's best for you other than you. And that's the most empowering thing in the world. It's also the most scary thing in the world because when you're used to everybody making decisions for you and telling you how to act and how to do things, stepping into your own power can be really scary because you've trusted all these other people to guide you. And now it's up to you. But once you start practicing in that, stepping into your power, making decisions for yourself unapologetically, allowing yourself to be less than perfect, and at the same time believing in yourself, it gets easier and easier until you get to the point, which is where I'm at. And I'm so grateful for it that I value other people's opinions, but ultimately I always make my own decisions for myself and I feel good about it. And I'm usually right. And if I make a mistake, I learn from it. It's not a big deal.
I think this is one of the things that's stopping a lot of artists and creative people. The second they do mistakes, they are so afraid what people are going to say, think about them. Sometimes they stop even the art, the craft, their beautiful offering. What would you will say to someone that comes to you and say, I'm afraid to be too much. I got so much attention. My art, my offering was so big. I'm getting all this like attention. What should I do? Because I want a lot of people quit when they get too much attention. I don't want to be too much. What do you say to that?
I really have not. I've never had anybody come to me with that particular problem. Um, it's always the opposite, but you do see that really with a lot of musicians where they're striving. My whole life I'm surrounded by musicians. So many of my closest friends go on tour and that's what they do for a living. And they strive and strive. And then when they finally get to a point where they're signed on with a big record company, and now they get scared because they have to give up certain things in exchange for the fame. And most of them are willing to do that. Some of them are not. I think if you're in a position where you're just getting too much attention and you don't feel good with it, look, you have two choices. Step into the unknown, ride it for a while and see how it goes and see if you can expand stretch your ability to be loved on. Some of us have a hard time letting too many people love on us too much. I've actually been through that before, and I'll tell you about it in a second. Or maybe it's really just not for you and you can pull back. But I'm a huge believer in trying something on for a while and see how it feels, see how you do with it. My example is when my husband was dying in the hospital, and this was in 2021, and my brother-in-law started a GoFundMe for us, and I said, no, we don't need that. We have good insurance. We're not going to need money. that I didn't want to ever ask anybody for anything. And my brother-in-law said, look, you have no idea what kind of bills you're going to have. I'm setting it up for you anyway, against your will. Well, so 4.5 months in the hospital, my husband was, and over that period of time, obviously he and I both couldn't work. I was at the hospital all day. The community around us knew that our business was being neglected because we couldn't work. And I would pop in the art gallery, a couple times a week just to like check things, but I really wasn't working. And there would be checks shoved under the door, $5,000 checks. I had several people write me checks for $5,000. Hope this helps. And I never once asked for anything. And then I had people dropping food off at my house. I had people donating to the GoFundMe. Um, people were doing so many things for me. I had a friend that kept sending me a housekeeper to clean my house because I was overwhelmed with everything I was going through. And I'll tell you, I felt unworthy. I felt bad. The people were giving me so much. I was being given so much love and caring. And I was writing in my journal every day. And I remember writing in there, I have to learn how to receive. This feels so weird to me and I don't know what to do. Maybe, God is trying to teach me that now is my time to learn to let people do things for me. Because I've always been very generous with my time and my money and things. Giving's very easy. Receiving was very hard for me.
The magic, and this is where the magic. Learning to receive, it's the gift of the universe. Beautiful. That's beautiful.
Ties in with self-love. That ties in with feeling worthy, allowing people to give. A couple weeks ago, I went to a heart opening ceremony. I had a profound experience. And one of the women that was like a facilitator there, she was a volunteer, so she wasn't getting paid to be there by the people putting it on. And I happen to know that, and she helped me so much. So the next day, it was a weekend thing. The next day, I handed her $100 bill and I said, "Thank you. You were so supportive, and I just want you to know how much it meant to me." And at first, she said, "Oh, no, no, I can't take that." And I've had that happen so many times where I've tried to give somebody money because they gave something of value to me, with love. And I said to her, never say no when somebody hands you love, because to me, this $100 bill is me giving you love, saying thank you. And if I had something better to give you right now, I'd give it to you, but this is all I've got. That's what I told her. If I had a bouquet of flowers right now, I'd give it to you, but I don't. This is all I've got. So take it. And then she got what I was saying and she said, "Oh, thank you." And she felt that. She felt the love I was giving her.
There is a law of the universe. The more we say thank you, the more we allow. Because sometimes we don't allow, we're closing it with our energy, we're closing all this generosity that the world wants to give us. So, how about as women just saying, yes, 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 what's more possible for me? Because you talked about the role of meditation and all these spiritual practices, I know that they play a big role in your life. How do you stay grounded and empowered? How is it helping you?
I have been so empowered in the last 3 years and beyond that, but the last 3 years have been really pivotal for me because when my husband was in the hospital and he didn't die, by the way. He actually did die for a minute or 10, but he came back, he had a near-death experience. He was an inch from death for 12 weeks, and the doctors kept saying he's going to die any day, and they wanted me to pull life support and all this. Well, while that was going on, I refused to let him go, and I was given a very profound experience where spirit spoke to me because I was planning his funeral because he was going to die any day. And I'm planning his funeral and I'm planning the logistics of it, where it's going to be, who, how it's going to go, who I'm going to have speak at it. Like I'm thinking all the details. And then all of a sudden, spirit just like hit me like a bolt of lightning. And I heard a voice in my head say, if you want him to live, you have to plan for him to come home. And here I was planning for him to never come home. But I heard spirit and I said, oh my gosh, I have to plan for him to come home. And then I made a decision. This is where I really learned about the power of decision. I'm going to have faith that he's coming home no matter how bad it gets, no matter what goes wrong. And every day it got worse and worse, right? No matter what, I'm going to have faith that he comes home. And I am not going to drop my faith until after he takes his last breath on this earth. And I turned to my sister-in-law and I told her that. And then I said, but I have no idea how to do that. How do I have faith that strong when the doctor's telling me he's got like 24 to 48 hours and it's going to be gone? And my sister-in-law told me a story about a woman who refused to let her son die. And it's a true story. And there was a movie made about it. And the mother refused to let anyone cry over her son, and then went in and prayed over her son's dead body, and the son came back to life. And was such a profound story that they made a movie out of it. But when she told me that story, that was spirit speaking through her, because spirit told me how to have faith. You just do. You just do it. And you don't let anyone mourn this person who's not dead yet. And I saw that. And so it was through doing and through the decision. And then there were days where I broke down and cried because his lung collapsed. And then they told me his other lung was starting to collapse. And then that was the end, right? And I was like, okay, I said I was going to have faith no matter what. This is really hard to have faith when everything just looks this bad. And then I would call a friend for support. And I had a number of friends that wear rose-colored glasses and they would pick me up and so I didn't do it alone. And I just talked to my guides every day. Every day I would send my spirit guides to be in the hospital room with him. And it gave me strength. I felt like I was never alone. And the more I talked to my spirit guides, the more I asked for help, the more help I got. And the more coincidences started to happen. Somebody would send me information on a alternative drug, and then I'd fight to get it into the hospital and administer to my husband. And I know that those coincidences led to him making it. So it's just practice and belief and being, you have to find that stubbornness within yourself. Like, okay, I don't know how I'm going to do this. This is going to be hard, but I'm going to do it no matter what. And if I start failing, I'll call a friend who's really strong and they'll help me.
I was witnessing the whole experience, and I remember the days that seemed like there was no hope, and you always were keeping it together beautifully. I learned so much from your strength, and it was during COVID. One of the things that was very inspiring, it was to see all these women coming together and bringing their gifts and offerings. And to the women that are listening and watching this video, just to know that you are God's creation, that each one of you is special in your own way, and we are never alone because we are connected to a beautiful higher power that connecting all of us with spiritual guides. Ask and you should be received. Just ask. A lot of time we get lost and I'm like, where is it? Where is it? It's not logical. It's energy. Energy is not linear. You cannot see it. We are energy. Just believe it and demand it. I want that. And this is so powerful. Instead of saying, I'm thinking. No, don't think. When the thoughts come, it's live. Just say, shut the fuck up and come back and say, I demand. And you see the power. The second I'm saying I demand, it's like a different human being coming out of it. There is a special power. It's creation. And we can all build this community. I remember when you were building this gorgeous community of women, they all look like gypsies, witches. And I'm like, wow, I love this is sisterhood. I'm like, this is my crowd. It was admirable. And we learn from this lesson. Someone can look at it and say, oh, that's all I think was a mistake. But you learn from it. And a lot of times we are hard on ourselves because we have old programming from our moms. So remember, if our mom thought she's not good enough or her body is not good, we will carry it too because from the womb, we carry all these misconceptions, limiting beliefs. It's time to let it go and say, what are my ideas? Maybe to start now. You said only this in the last year. Maybe it's the year of snake. Maybe we letting go of all these layers that are not ours because I'm feeling the same way. I'm like, whatever. I want to let go of all my old ideas and just start new. So everything is just interesting point of view. Let's start new, like a new canvas, right? Makes sense?
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, right? You and Drew have created such a unique and adventurous life together. I know you guys are traveling a lot. What was the biggest shift that made it possible? Because you're very busy.
I don't know how I do all the things I do. It's kind of crazy, but I'm a creator and I just can't stop creating. I create from the moment I wake up to the moment I go to sleep and yeah, and it never feels like work really, unless I'm doing my taxes. But so to answer your question, when I met Drew, it was 1996. He was 25 years old. He was traveling the world painting surfboards for a living. That's what he did. And I tell this story often because it just blows my mind. We had only been dating for a couple months. I was obsessed with him. I was so crazy in love with him the moment I met him. And after a couple months of dating, I was at his house and he had a desk with all his computer on it. And there was a piece of paper on the desk and it was neatly typed up. And the title of it was My Life by Drew Brophy. And he had written like 5 paragraphs of what his vision was for his life, all the things he wanted to accomplish. He wanted to become the world's best known surfboard artist. He wanted to travel the world surfing all the best big wave spots in the world. He wanted to travel with his future wife and children. And, he had all these details. And I remember picking up this piece of paper and asking him about it and going, what is this? And he said, that's my life, the life I'm creating. And I said, you can do this? And I remember saying, you can do this? You can actually you're going to travel the world with your wife and kids and have this wild, adventurous life? He goes, yeah. He said, Maria, and it is funny, he was only 25 and I'm 6 years older than him. And he he was so wise at 25. And he looked at me and he said, Maria, anything you want in life already exists. It's right here in front of you. All you have to do is know what you want and then get it. And I just said, wow, wow. And that was it. I knew what he was saying was true, didn't know how it worked or how to do it, but I believed it. And then we got married 4 years later. We created this life. I always wanted a life of adventure, travel. I remember as a kid, all I wanted was to be a writer. I wanted to be surrounded by artists and musicians, and I wanted to have an eclectic, unusual lifestyle. I did not want to be like everybody else. I wanted to live an adventurous life. And I have lived that. I have because I was shown this and I believed it. And then every decision I made, this is key for anybody listening that says, this sounds great. But, and then you have an excuse for it. I'm too old, I'm too young, I'm too poor, I'm too rich, I have too many kids, I don't have any kids. Like there's always an excuse, right? But forget that. No matter what your situation is, no matter who you are, know what you want to have the dream, allow the dream, and then make sure that every decision you make, that's important, takes you closer to that dream, not further. Okay. So I'll give you a real simple example. I always wanted to not just travel the world and have this adventurous life, but I wanted to be able to say, oh, Drew, how about on Friday? Why don't we fly to Bali for a few weeks? I wanted to be able to drop everything. So that meant if I saw a cute puppy that I wanted so bad, I go, ah, but then we lose that freedom that's so important to me. We've never had a pet for that reason. So we can just drop, but that's what's important to me. Now, other people, that's not important. Something else is your dream. Your dream might be to have a big backyard with 20 hot dog dogs in the back. What are those hot dog dogs called? They look like hot dogs.
Hot dog. Hot dog.
Doc Dotsons or something. Anyway, you might, your dream's totally different from mine, but you get what I'm saying. Like every decision you make should take you closer to that dream, not further away. That means if you have a dream of travel, don't marry a guy that never wants to go anywhere. you know,
So learning your values, I think it's what you mentioned in the beginning of the conversation was awareness, taking the time to discover and uncover who you are, what you like, you don't like, and it's part of your values. I remember since I was very young, I had two values on top of all the other values. I really guarded my freedom. I hated when people told me what to do. I wanted to be independent. I knew I have to make money, so I did everything towards that. And the other thing was growth. Like if I was bored for 5 seconds, I was like, oh my God, I cannot take it because I knew that my soul needs to grow all the time. And until this day, you will never see me even in the gym without a book because I'm constantly evolving and growing. And these are two of my top priorities, and I will do anything for that. And I think every woman that's listening right now needs to know, wait, who am I first before everything else? Because otherwise, how can I ask myself, is it taking me towards my dream or further from my dream? And it's a very important point to understand. So, Maria, if you could share one piece of advice with women listening today who are feeling like they're stuck, afraid of the unknown, or take the next step, because we are still the beginning of the year, we want to empower them, what would it be?
consume information that helps you learn to stretch and expand into the greater version of yourself. You're listening to this podcast. You need to do more of this. The next step is to make friends with other women whom you want to be more like and spend less time with the complainers, the unhappy people, the people who are powerless. You can still love them, but spend less time with them and spend more time with empowered women. And just know that this is a journey and you're in a constant state of evolution. So you are either expanding or you're contracting. Just make sure you're always expanding, expanding into your confidence and doing things that might be a little uncomfortable, but know that being uncomfortable means you're growing.
And to have more knowledge, learn all the time, because right now with the AI, we are moving so fast. And in general, to educate ourselves, because education is power. Listen, ask for help, build your own community. Maybe the friends, the people right now are not serving you anymore. So part of growth and change is also letting go of the old and whatever is not serving us anymore. It's a very good point, and asking for help. Sometimes we stuck and we're afraid to ask for help. So asking for help like you did when you needed the help. And the community that you built today are beautiful. You're surrounded with beautiful sisters, and it's priceless. These are all magic, believe in the magic. Ask for the magic. Want the magic.
Yes, and we talked about that a little bit earlier, and I was talking about how I was connecting with my spirit guides. Whatever you believe in, whoever you believe in, ask for help all the time. And you can practice that like with the little things. Like if I lose my keys, which I almost never do because I'm really good at knowing where my keys are, but on those rare occasions where I can't find something, I'll ask for help finding it. I'm telling you, it works. And right now I'm putting together a lesson for tomorrow. I'm doing with my artist mastermind group. And I was a little stuck on something. And then I thought, oh yeah, I asked my spirit guides, please show me what example I should use for this particular part in the lesson. And I was patient. I didn't get the answer right away. I got the answer about an hour later. And I was like, wow, yes, that's it.
We are divinely guided, even if we are not noticing it. So if you put more power into it and ask for it, it's going to be even more noticeable. For me, I don't think I am where I am without the help of God. I remember even as a very young girl, Jewish people have this mezuzah on the door. I was this girl that was stepping into it, and I'm like, Abba, Abba. I always called God Abba because my father passed away when I was very young. And I will ask him, please help me. All my life, this is what I did every morning, every night. Now I do it sometimes if I'm struggling, it's every second. I don't care. This is for us, each one of us, to ask the divine guidance that we're living. It doesn't matter, it's not about religion, it's the energy within us that's seeking help. Just use it, it's free, you
Yeah.
know? And if you look cuckoo, it's okay. We are all can be cuckoos, but at least enjoy the cuckoo-ness. Some people get so afraid of their powers because a lot of time I deal with women that are like, but I want to be too much. Just be too much. I want you to be too much. I need you to be too much because then you're allowing me to be too much and all the sisters and the girls that watching you, but be too much with your truth. And this is something we didn't mention until now. Be your truth. And you didn't need to mention it because I always watched you and you were in your truth. Never for a second I suspected that maybe you're manipulating or you're saying something to look good because it was your essence. You always brought the way it is. You said that the way it is. And this is something that I was hearing when I was listening to your book, when I was reading your book. There is something very authentic and powerful in women. They just carry their truth and they don't need to add things. And it's not going to be seen in the makeup, it's not the hair, it's not the outfit. You don't need the brand names, it's the energy.
Yeah.
And people can read our energy. So the more we step into our truth, it's the wholeness. This is how we are whole. We don't need the perfection, but being whole, it's the magic. It's the real magic. How listeners can connect with you and learn more about your work.
Thank you. Well, you could find me on my website, mariabrophy.com. And I'd love to mention that I have a new book coming out. I don't know if you know this, but
Oh,
it's coming out, I don't have the exact date, but early April 2025. And the title of the book, it's a memoir. It's called COVID, a love story. And it is a memoir about the love story between Drew and myself and us and the community and what it took to pull him off of the deathbed and bring him home and how we got through all that. And it's a very harrowing story, the story of a wife having to say goodbye to her husband through a window, but we have a happy ending and we're very grateful for that. And it's so yeah, that book comes out soon. And my husband, Drew, actually
can I see it? Can I see
this is a real rough, this is the book cover and he designed it. He did a big painting and
the final one?
what?
The final one?
Yeah, so this is a rough, but it's gonna pretty much look like this. Yeah. So the title of the book's COVID, A Love Story. It will be on Amazon and all the online booksellers. And I'm really excited about it. It was very cathartic writing that book.
I am so excited. It
Thank you.
sparks so much joy. I think it's gonna help empower so many people because your story was empowering for me just to watch it.
Yeah.
Thank you so much, Maria. I appreciate you and all your work and your words of wisdom. For the listeners, I'm gonna put Maria's information in the show notes. You can see that. And until next time, please take care and keep shining. Thank you, Maria.
Thank you.